Hey, it's BT with Tales from a Gemini. My guest today is comedy veteran Scott Long. Scott Long has been in comedy as long as I have. He's written for Frank Caliendo. He's had his sketches on ESPN, Fox Sports. And we just did a deep dive into comedy, which eventually went to rock and roll, and then we go a deep dive into rock and roll. Man, I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, but I doubt you will. But enjoy me and my conversation with my buddy, Scott Long. Are you sure we're rolling, Nikolai? Are you sure, Nikolai? Okay. It sounds like we are, but are we rolling, Nikolai? Are you sure?
Should we be looking at the TV, this thing or this thing?
No, you're looking at me, Scott, because I am the star. You look at the star.
Every once in a while, I look at the audience.
With Tales from a Gemini. Today, you know what I love? You know me, I love the motorcycle guys and everything else, but I love when I get one of my own. When I say one of my own, one of my guys, I feel like a coach. When I go to my guys in, and that's comedians, especially comedians who spent their time. They've done their time. I mean, it's one thing to have the people that come up, which is great.
Yeah.
But I like the people who've done their time. This guy, I say done their time. When I moved here, I can't say you were the first comic I remember, but I just remember like everything that was done here, like as far as like a lineup, you were always there with me.
Yeah.
And you've done everything. Like, as a matter of fact, it's almost a question of what haven't you done, Scott Long? What haven't you done? Because you've written for Frank Caliendo. Yeah. Okay. You've had your own Dry Bar comedy special. You had your flyover comedy that was on Amazon Prime. Right. I mean, you've done the gamut. So what haven't you done? Hold on. What haven't you done that you want to be done, that you would like to do?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've done almost everything I want to do, which is pretty cool. I mean, you know, I didn't have big dreams of like, I didn't want to be a TV star. Like,
really?
I never did. I started in 91. And everybody in 91 that started, the idea was you want to get your own sitcom.
Of course. That was the deal.
They were passing those out a lot, you know. I mean, you know, Mitch Hedberg got money. Like you could do a sitcom with Mitch Hedberg. You could not. But, you know, he's brilliant. I never wanted to do that. I wanted to write maybe for TV, which I did. But I wanted to do stand-up. I love doing live stand-up. That was always my thing. I just swallowed my gum. Is that okay? I mean, where does that go?
I love that. I was like, okay, what's this pause for? I thought it was even for dramatic effect.
No, it was dramatic. I don't think I've swallowed any gum since I was probably about 14. I don't know where it goes. I don't know how it turns out.
In school, they go, anybody chewing gum? And you get the gunk in.
Yeah.
And then they always go, it's 7 years for the digest. Remember that? 7 years? Was that true or is it something?
That's why I got to know. I got to look that up. Okay, so my big moment. We'll just get right to it. Like everybody's got their big moment. And so I'm writing for Frank Caliendo, as you said. And it was for the NFL pregame show on Fox.
Okay.
And you're like, they're sketches that go on before, you know, the NFC game. So it's the #1 rated show. It makes more money than everything. It's got Terry Bradshaw and Howie Long and everything. I write this Super Bowl sketch that got a lot of acclaim. What was cool about it is Frank was going to be Charles Barkley in it because he does this amazing Charles Barkley.
He does amazing everything, though.
He kind of does. And he's the most talented person.
There is no kind of, he is, and he's a good guy. That's why I like him.
I don't know if he's a good guy. He probably was to you. You're talented.
That's true. No, I didn't work with him, though.
Yeah,
to work with somebody is different.
He's good to me.
Yeah.
So idea is Shaq's like, I'll be in the sketch. And they'd asked him, and they're like, great, you can be, no, I don't want to be Shaq. I want to play Terry Bradshaw.
Shaq said he wants to play Terry Bradshaw.
So they were like, okay. So Ari Spears plays Shaq, who does a great Shaq.
Yes, he does.
Oh no. And he's got his eye going this way or whatever.
I was now. This was before the show Ari Spears was on. It was the compliment to Saturday Night Live.
Mad TV.
I auditioned for Mad TV, and I did a Shaq, and that was when no one really was doing Shaq, right? And I did a Shaq, and I'm not gonna say I could have got it, but I had after my second audition, she said, "Hey, what are you doing like the rest of the week?" I go, "Nothing." But I had to get to Kansas City. I mean, I was that broke. I had to get to Kansas City. And they called me I auditioned, I think on that Tuesday. They called me that Thursday. They go, hey, can you come in? I go, I'm out of town. And they go, okay. And that was it. And I always remember that. Always.
Yeah, you can taste those. Every once in a while, you get a taste. It's very rare.
Dude, that was my Buster Douglas. I mean, that was my Buster. You never really get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my Buster.
Didn't mean to bring up bad news. Okay, it's time to get past it by now. Maybe not.
Yeah, you get over it. You get over it.
Yeah.
So you got to Brexit with Beyonce. Eventually, you got over it.
I get this meeting with Barry Katz.
Oh, big.
Okay, at the time, Barry Katz had been Dave Chappelle's manager.
Yes.
Tracy. Everybody that got on Saturday Night Live, he got Jim Brewer on Saturday Night Live. He got Tracy Morgan on Saturday Night Live.
Didn't he manage Dane Cook?
He was managing Dane Cook at the time. He was the biggest comedian, hands down.
Yes.
He was drawing more people than almost any NBA team that didn't have LeBron coming in town.
Yes.
Okay. So this is right. He was Jay Moore's manager.
Yeah.
Got him on Saturday Night. So he's like, I want to meet with you. I get in the best shape of my life. I work out because this was Dane Cook time. Everybody's wearing the BT tight t-shirts. You can still do it. This wasn't two bears in a cave time where Bert Kreischer's running out there with no shirt and he's fat and everyone's like, yeah, that's what a comedian looks like. 10 years ago, that wasn't the case.
Well, thank you, my friend.
That's true, though. So I get in the Hollywood, everything. I go in and we're talking and I'm like 41.
Okay.
But at the time, I probably looked like I was like 33.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I looked younger for my age. I have not lately, but I mean, it did for a while.
You look good.
I'm 57.
You look good. You don't look at David
I'll
56.
give out all the numbers because I don't care.
You don't look at David 56. You look good.
Thank you, bro.
You look
that
good.
means you saw me earlier. My makeup team made me work good. Okay, so here's the meeting. It's in Malibu. It's like the movie. Oh. He meets me, and the meeting's going well, And then he's like, "Well, why haven't you moved out here?" And I'm like, "Well, we had him. I talked to you about it 4 or 5 years ago because I had one other call with him and he wanted me to move out because he liked this script that I wrote about the adult film industry, but it was like a comedy like Larry Sanders about adult pornos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, that'd be perfect for HBO or Showtime because it wouldn't be gratuitous, the nudity. And at the time they wanted nudity on those shows.
Yes.
Dream On and stuff like that. They wanted you to hold on.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
yes. I love that show.
Me too. So point is, he's like giving me I'm like, well, the first time he asked me, it was when Last Comic Standing was starting. First year. He was the producer of that with Jay. They were executive producers.
Yes.
And he was like, I got this show I want you to audition for. My wife was about to have our child. Mm-hmm. It's kind of my Kansas City moment.
Yes.
So I'm like, I can't do it. And this sounded terrible. The comedians are going to be in a house. And I'm like, because the first 3 years, 2 or 3 years, they lived in a house.
Yes, I remember that.
It was more like the real world.
MTV, it's exactly like the real world.
Yeah, it wasn't like it is now, like every show where they just come from the back and Terry Crews brings you out or whatever.
Yeah.
It was, they lived together and they could make you look good or they could make you look real bad.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh. So this meeting happens. It's going pretty well, but he's like, you know what? I got a dozen of you guys that I've managed that I never know what I'm going to do with. You're funny. I love what you wrote, but 5 years ago, you needed to come here when I asked you to. And I'm like, I can't disagree with any of this stuff. And then he's like, what I do like is you look like a normal guy. You got that dad bod. I'm like, I'm in the best shape of my damn life. I'm thinking in that moment, I've never been in better shape, but I got a dad bod in Hollywood. You know, it's like probably going to the beach with BT.
Stop it.
You might be looking good, and then BT does the reveal, and you're like, I think I'm going to keep the tank top on. So at that moment, I'm like, I need to stay back in the Midwest, where I'm like Midwest anorexic. Because I'm morbidly obese in Hollywood.
It's like you're surrounded by. Like you're surrounded by what the Samoans.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you feel good about yourself.
I do feel good. So
I am looking good.
Yeah. So that's kind of the story. I don't even know exactly. That's how I do these things. Somebody asks a question and I just go on this rant. But that was kind of like my big moment. And at that moment, I'm like, you know what? I don't even really want to be here. I don't want to be in a room with 10 other writers. That's for sure. You get spoiled doing this. Explain why we're spoiled.
Why? I mean,
as a comedian, stand up.
Spoiled. Maybe the benefits. I mean, the little bitty benefits that you get outweigh I mean, to put it this way, to do what that guy right there is doing, I'd rather be a comic. I'd rather be a comic than do what that guy's doing or do what anybody in that building over there is doing or in that bank over there. Yeah, that's why I would rather be a comic.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, and there are also benefits, but there also the drawbacks are, I have like maybe $10 in my savings account. That's the drawback because there is no retirement plan.
No, there's no retirement. There's no insurance. There's none of those things. Well, creatively, though, when you're driving in the car and you show up to Helium and you got 2 ideas, you get to do them right then.
Right. And it's the greatest, and to get them out, get them out. I tell people all the time, if you don't have it all the way, take it on stage anyway, just to get it out.
Oh, it feels good.
And the comic in you will find, and you ever do like a replacement punchline until you can find the one you really want? Like, okay, my time's up. I got something that's okay. It's got a If I can work with that, then I got a little something. I'm cooking with a little something. I got a little grapeseed oil here.
That's perfect because it makes me, what you just said makes me think of some of these like really good like songwriters and rock and roll, and they'll have like, they have the melody, but they don't know what exactly the words are. So they'll just do, until they can get the words to fit that melody.
They'll get the
There's some of that in comedy, but writing for the NFL on Fox for 13 years or 11, and then I did ESPN for 2 for Frank. The first 10 or 11, I'm in a room, but I'm not in a room. I'm in Indiana sending my stuff in. I have like a conference call meeting with the producer, the star of the week, with the other 2 writers, but I don't have any control over what they use. And then I'd watch it Sunday and I'd be like, come on, that's what you're using in this way, because you don't have any control. And it took, like, I would complain to Frank the first 2 years. He's like, hey man, I don't have control. And I'm the person that's doing it. You got to let go of that shit.
Yeah.
Because why? You don't have any control. You've got to be the boss. Otherwise, you just spit stuff out. And as a comedian, I always got to go on stage and do whatever I wanted.
Comedy, you are the boss. You are the one. You edit. You're everything. And I always think it's better. It's kind of veering off the subject a little bit, but that's why I like interviewing comics, because they understand. But it's like, if you have a new bit, sometimes it's better to do it in a place to where it's, say, a clean environment. Like, you work cruise ships, like you do a family show. So, you can't curse. So put a new joke out there that way. And that way your punchline is going to be clean, and which eliminates, lazy writing maybe.
Oh, it does.
Instead of putting fuck here or whatever. Right. Like, okay, I'll put a real punchline here or whatever. And then that way, I think it makes your writing a little bit stronger.
It does.
When you're putting constraints like that, for me, it makes it better that way.
Look, young comedians, and I was a young comedian, and I started in Indianapolis, so I used to do chicken patties clubs.
Oh my gosh, yeah, downtown in Broad Ripple,
right next to Vogue.
Oh my
and they were 2 clubs, and they were B+ rooms, I would say. B+ rooms, because they brought in good comics.
They brought in great comics.
Because the Ice House booked them.
Yes, Bob Fisher, Elaine. God, I love Elaine.
Elaine was the person who... she had no idea what was going on in Indianapolis. And, I mean, like, she'd send like some Hispanic comic to Indianapolis in like 1998. There was barely any Hispanics.
There was none.
Well,
there was none.
Like, there wasn't even illegal aliens cutting grass in Indianapolis in the 90s. It was like, it
was whiter than it is now.
Oh my God, yeah.
It was white.
So the audience wouldn't get him.
Yes.
She booked, this is the greatest bill ever, a badness. John Fox, who was like this old time, he told jokes.
Yes, jokey jokes.
Now they call internet jokes or something, but there was no internet. Jokes, enormous on Bob and Tom. They loved him. It fit their demo, all that stuff. The feature act, Mitch Hedberg. The worst billing ever. They stared at Mitch. Mitch was not famous yet. He hadn't quite figured out the whole jazz thing with this thing. He was more Stephen Wright.
Yes. I'm funny you say that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's like I say Mitch Hedberg was jazz. Stephen Wright was more folk.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great. Yes, because he was folk.
He was folk, and that's not even bad because folk is great. Woody Guthrie, whatever. But Mitch had that kind of just Mitch had this, where Stephen Wright was just really like this. Well, Fred and Barney. I can't believe the Stones are still doing it. Fred and Barney. I mean, how great is that?
Do you do impressions?
No, I mean, the ones I do, no one knows. My favorite,
That was a good one.
the one I can't figure out where to put is Bomani Jones. You ever seen Bomani Jones?
Bomani Jones,
Here's my Bomani Jones. Hey, welcome to the right time, Bomani Jones. I got Dominique Foxworth Friday. What's up, Dom? You know when he laughs?
That's like 110% right. And I'm not a big Bomani Jones fan, so it irritated me. That's a good impression.
But I don't know where to put it. And then I was like, okay, who's going to get it in the crowd? Because he's got that little, but I love him. Because
I'm at the Columbus Funny Bone with Caliendo. We're in the car driving back from like radio, and Jim Rome comes on. And he starts doing Jim Rome. Like within 5 minutes, he had never heard Jim Rome. I'm like, oh my, you're like done this perfectly. I'm like, you should try that at the show. And he's like, who's going to know who Jim Rome is? I'm like, you got to try it. Yeah. So he goes up, and like no one knew except for like 5 guys in the back who thought it was the greatest thing they had ever heard in their life. Yeah. And so then he starts doing it. It was kind of the sketch that put us over, because people forget at Fox, before Frank started doing those, Jimmy Kimmel did them. Jimmy Kimmel went from that job and the Man Show to having his own talk show. Frank was the one who replaced him. And so for the first year, there was a lot of Terry Bradshaw going, that is not funny. I don't get it. That's not funny. And you'd hear that, and it's like, oh my God.
And
it was exhausting.
And Jimmy, I don't know how he did it, but Jimmy somehow did not get flack for going in blackface when he went as Karl Malone. Remember, he'd be in blackface, and no one said anything. But
Fallon did it like 10 years later.
Yeah, and no one ever said. But I guess it's who you are. I guess it's because you're under the guise of as a comic, but they never got in trouble, and it wasn't really egregious.
Not at all. Frank came on the TNT show in full makeup as Charles Barkley, and Shaq and Kenny like fell over. They were laughing so hard. Frank was the best sketch I think we ever did. He was James Brown. You know James Brown, who's like on CNN or CBS now, but was at Fox. Greatest guy, super guy.
Great, yes.
Super guy. Frank played all the characters, but was like what it was like behind the scenes. And James Brown, the greatest guy, he was a total ass. That's how we wrote him, behind the scenes.
Okay.
Like he throws coffee in that's not hot enough. He throws it at James Brown's mom thought it was James Brown. That's how good Frank's impression was.
When he did Stephen A. Smith, remember? And they called in and they had to figure out who was really the Stephen A. Smith. No. Dude, let me tell you, I would always say, I mean, don't get me wrong, Jay Farrell's good, Jamie Foxx is good, but man, Frank, when he had Greenberg and Golick, literally crying, when he did the LeBron, the LeBron James
with the Morgan Freeman
leaving Cleveland, you know, I just say you can't go back home, but you know, and man, watching those guys cry. I'm telling you, Frank took it to another level, bro. And he puts his jokes into it, which makes it great.
That was the difference. I always would say Frank is a quality feature act who can do impressions. None of the other impressionists could be funny outside. That was the difference.
Yes.
He didn't do that whole turnaround and now I'm this and now I'm that.
I'm Jack Nicholson. I used to hate that shit.
Right. That was the old school way.
Yes.
He would have a conversation with, all of a sudden Robin Williams is having a discussion with George W. Bush, and then all of a sudden somebody else pops in. And he came from the Robin Williams world, though. His brain, he thought that was his idol. It wasn't Rich Little.
Yes.
It was like, I want to seem like there's 5 voices popping out of my head. Now, when do you start in stand-up?
Man, it's funny you say 91 because I went on stage for the first time. Open mic night. First time, I think in 88. I was in junior college.
Where were you at?
I was going to school in junior college in Miami, Oklahoma. It was on the border of Arkansas.
Yeah. You don't have to talk. I know I've done casinos in Miami.
Yeah. So I would go up
Stables,
Tulane Highway.
Casino.
I don't know what it is. I mean, because it's there now, but back in my day, it was nothing. It was just a scary ass town if you were black.
Oh my God. Yeah. Look on the map, everybody, and it will look like it says Miami
But it's Miami because
Miami.
of the tribe. It was
Right.
a Native American tribe that they screwed over eventually. So,
Yes,
but
yeah.
what I did was I went to it was Kansas City, it was Stanford and Sons.
Right.
Went on stage there, and that was when it was David Nastor,
Yeah.
Emery. You know what? I remember going
Was
there.
Elliot Threet there?
Yes, and I remember scouting it. Right, I went there the first week to scout it.
Sure.
And
Smart.
who was on stage? Eddie Griffith. I remember.
Oh, that's where he came from.
I remember Eddie's joke was, "You ever see a head you just want to thump?" And I remember that joke. I just always remember that joke. And it was Eddie Griffith and it was Scott Steen. But I just remember going, okay, that's what I got to do. And I went up the next week by myself and just sucked. But you know what? I kept going back, and so I would go on like 18th out of like 20, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So and I just remember like keep going, and I remember it was Frankie Bastille because I was like I had my head against the wall because they were all, how comics are, they go, the click and everything. And I couldn't, be a part of them. And I was just
People
by
always
myself.
talk about like the table at the Comedy Cellar.
Yeah.
But every place had a table.
Every place.
Yeah.
And I remember Scott seeing coming and go, man, if you get you out of that shitty spot, you might do okay. And I was like, hey, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And I just remember like going from there to when I went to the University of Oklahoma, then I would go on at Joker's on Britton
Right.
Road. I remember
Right.
that. And then I think every Tuesday night was open mic. And
Was
I
that
went there.
before the guy had to give the club, or like he got divorced? Was
that
like
was-
Gary Bynum?
That was Gary Bynum. That was
right.
Gary
And
Bynum.
then his wife built a club across the street.
Literally across the street. Yeah, I wasn't part of those. I wasn't part of that
Oh
shit.
my God, that was interesting. My mom lives in Oklahoma City.
Are you serious?
Midwest City.
Well, my whole family
Del
still lives in
City.
Oklahoma. Still lives in Oklahoma. But they're in Tulsa though. They're
Yeah,
in Tulsa.
Tulsa's better.
It's like saying well, which is the best super Walmart you ever been in. That's what it's like. I mean, let's be
that's a
honest.
good
Well, this one's
point.
got a Subway. Well, this one has a Subway and a McDonald's. I mean, it's like tomato.
Miami has a Billy Sims barbecue though. Do you know he has his own barbecue places
Yeah,
there?
I'm from Oklahoma, man. I know that.
Okay, I don't know.
I'm from Oklahoma, man. Hey, you know what's funny? And I don't want to stop you in your story, but when you talk about the auditions, okay, best shape of your life. Now, back in my day, I'm not gonna lie, I went to an audition. It was when they were doing the reality show, the kind of not really the dating one, but we get the hot people on the
Right.
island or whatever. So I was auditioned to be the host, right? I think to be a host or whatever. And so I'm talking and they go, "Hey, BT, I want you to take your shirt off." I said, "Okay." I swear to God. Took my shirt. They go, "Okay, you can put it back on." Man, I never felt so low in my life. They go, "Okay, you can put it back on." And they said it in a way like, "Okay, we've seen enough." I mean, it wasn't like, "Okay, put it back on." It was like, "Okay, you can put it back on." As soon as I took it off, dude, that made me feel like I was the fattest guy in the room.
Yeah, you see,
And
that's
I was
the
the
kind of
fattest guy
stuff.
in LA.
That's the thing, look, obviously women have been judged by, what they look like. But the idea that actors aren't judged the same way, guys have to take off their shirt, action movie guys, every time. I mean, women aren't having to take their shirt.
But you're also getting paid enough money to get the right amount of drugs to make yourself look cut up.
Don't get me wrong, but I think there's an impression. It's like, okay, you can start off looking like Russell Crowe in Gladiator, and now you could be like Russell Crowe at the Golden Corral. It's like, no, that's not the case. He's the exception to the rule.
He ate his way out of being an action star.
I mean, Kathleen Turner still appears places. They're like the same. If you looked at Kathleen Turner in Body Heat, and then it's like, what happened here? But I mean, come on, right? The evolution of those things. Because she was like the sexiest woman in the world.
Man,
Romancing the Stone.
Body Heat. Dude, when I think it was William Hurt was like, wow.
Yes.
And
he takes a chair and breaks it through.
because she was so hot.
Yeah. I mean,
He broke the glass. That's how hot she was.
Yeah. Now it'd be like, just brush the chair off and walk away.
She me to him.
Yeah.
I was just standing in the window. He broke the window officer.
And she was worthy of it.
Remember, she had that voice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Now it's 2 octaves below it. That's another problem. A lady at 30 that has that octave sounds great. At 60, it sounds like you're at the Stables Casino in Miami smoking.
I tell you what, back in my day, if a man put his hands on you because you deserved it. That's why, because you deserved it. My man put his hands on me, but I deserved every one of them
It was
licks.
a different place.
It was a different time. The kind
okay.
of woman that works at a Love's gas station. Hey, I tell you what, pump number 4, you got you're ready to come on in. Tell you what, boys, you meet me out back. and I'll take care of you.
Lot lizards.
Them lot lizards.
Lot
man.
lizards.
I love lot.
I'm in that business. But I mean, I swear, I think like we stop at truck stops. We're like We're like truckers who tell dick jokes, right? That's kind of what
no, because
the drive is as much.
No, we look better than truckers.
We do.
Please.
We do.
I mean,
you do.
I have nothing against truckers. I mean, they move America.
Right.
And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I mean, I know a lot of comics, and we might be dirtbags in different ways, but I don't think we put off in rest stops and do whatever. And, I mean, yeah.
I think there's some comedians that feel that too.
No,
Maybe they should have been truckers instead of, maybe they missed their calling. They're like, I don't even like the comedy. I just like driving. like maybe you should bring some products somewhere.
I like meeting strange men in rest stops and doing
that. So I've probably seen 2 lot lizards that I could recognize in 30 years. Like maybe they still have like a CB. I don't know that I'm missing out on what's going on.
Let me tell you something, man. To this day, I swear, and I mean,
yeah.
I feel like I know a lot, but I didn't. And so I didn't know that was a thing until I saw a documentary and I was like, ugh, who sleeps with truckers? I mean, it sounds bad against truckers if I go, ugh.
Well, it's not a good business for, trying to keep yourself up.
Well, duh.
Comedies, but like 45,000 miles last year I put on my car.
I was going to get to that, dude. Let me tell you something, man. I know you do a lot of corporates now, and that didn't make the difference.
Pretty much all I do.
But, man, you still hit the road so hard that it makes me tired. Looking at it, I go, how are you doing this, dude? I mean, honestly.
Because I used to do it for $250 a night, and now I do it for $2,500.
But still,
it's still a grind. I mean,
how can you do that? Like, it makes me tired looking at it.
I did 2, like every year they have these things in them, like it's like 4 or 5 of the plain states, like the Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, the Dakotas. Maybe they do these post proms. Have you ever done a post prom?
Yes, I did one in North Dakota. In Grand Forks.
They're just like the hardest gig you could possibly do. You have so much amazing energy that I think you would be like the template of somebody who could probably get away with it. But you got to be clean.
Of course.
Totally clean. You can't really talk about drinking. You can't talk about sex because that's why they do these post proms. It's a lockup in the gym or wherever because they don't want the kids to go get pregnant or get in a drunk driving accident on prom.
And I did one in Nebraska, and I couldn't mention that, but the girl in the front row was pregnant. I swear to God, she was at least 8 months pregnant.
Did you tell her like parents a little too late for her?
No, I know. I was like, no, I wanted my check. I wasn't about to go there.
And that is true.
But it's like you want me not to say this, not to say that. Don't mention this and that. But these kids are obviously doing it. But okay, I'm not gonna do it. But I was like, I'm not messing with this. I mean, she was. Yeah, she was gonna drop any week now. Maybe that week if I made her laugh hard enough. So that was a weird thing.
My mom had me when she was 2 weeks into 18 years old.
Wow.
And I did not have my first child till I was 37 for that reason.
Wow, good for you. That's a good constraint.
So I don't know. We had to use the IVF, so maybe it wasn't even constraint. It was just challenges that my wife and I had. And so I didn't have my twins till I was 41 years old, which means I will walk like when I take them to college, I will be 60 years old. My mom, when she took me to college, was 36. 36. She was 5 years younger. Math. 5 years younger taking me. And guys were making jokes. My mom's pretty and stuff like that. And, there's kind of a Stifler's mom kind of thing working there, 30, because there weren't 36-year-old moms.
And no one knew about MILFs back then.
Not at all, because it was the 80s.
Yeah. You were done at 30.
I'm walking in, it's 1984, University of Iowa. There's in one room, there's Wake Me Up Before You Go coming through. And of course, Police Synchronicity was killing it. But, and I'm like, and then the outfield, that's new. I love the outfield. Totally great. So these are the memories I have. But it's such a weird, difference between my mom and I, different life. I think somewhere in the middle is probably the way to go. Maybe you're 30 if you try to have kids, but like I played sports and I still do.
What sport?
I played football, basketball. I played baseball in the summer in Iowa. They have baseball in the summer for school.
No, we did too.
Okay. And then I played tennis. You're the greatest juxtaposition of weirdness. Like your interest, like, you know that Dos Equis guy, the most interesting man in the world? Yeah. You're the next one. I don't know if you can grow a gray beard or something, but something, I'm just saying you are the most, because your interests are so
diverse.
That's
why it's Tales from a Gemini. Because I mean,
you are, man. If you look at BT's social media, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I feel like, because I don't know you.
Yeah.
We don't know each other.
I know, that's why
we started around the same time.
Yeah.
So we weren't like headliner feature. We were headlining about the same time, and we just never met.
Yeah, I mean, it's how it was back in that day,
right?
You know what I mean? I mean, if we did, it would have been maybe it's one of those things where, hey, somebody's having a recording, which I barely remember those back in those days,
right.
You know. But or maybe like
Comcast or something like that,
or the infamous comedy contest, which
that's where I met you.
Which one?
The Dubuque one.
That was fun. That was fun.
Well, for you, that's what, because I had always heard about you, and you were a fast riser.
Thank you.
I mean, you were. I mean, you were headlining, what, 95, 96 in some clubs?
I think so.
That's rapid, and especially in those days when there was, tons.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, but there was tons of clubs. There wasn't tons of clubs. They were, right when you started was the peak. Right when I started was the peak. Like, late 80s, early 90s was the peak. By the time we're starting to really get time, the clubs are like they're just dissipating because there'd been too much comedy on TV. They were worn out.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago went from like having 14 comedy clubs to having 4 within like 5 years.
Did you ever do the one in Chicago? It was the comedy. Which one was the big guy would host it? He thought it was funny. God,
Bill Brady?
No, it wasn't Bill
Barrel
Brady.
Laughs?
No, I'm talking about downtown. It was downtown.
Okay.
It wasn't. It was not too far from the Improv. Shit, I think it was on a Monday night. It
wasn't Zany's, obviously.
It wasn't Zany. It was one of those the name was a different name. It wasn't a chain.
Oh, okay.
And everybody would go there on a Monday night and just destroy. It was a fun room, kind of easy room, but it was fun room. I forget the name of it, but that was fun. But I mean, it was a different time back then.
Yeah.
And we had to base it on how it was back then. I mean, as opposed to now.
And I'm never the guy that's angry about, timing or whatever. If you get in the 80s, it was way easier if you got in the start of the 80s because the clubs were just starting to exist and people didn't even know it had happened. I mean, you first started seeing stand-up, you're in Oklahoma, right? Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Muskogee, Oklahoma. I'm literally an Okie from Muskogee.
Right.
Literally.
Merle Haggard's song. But
we don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee.
Is that a military town?
No.
What's
far
the one
from it?
by it?
Far from it. We're the exact opposite of the military.
What's that mean?
I have no idea. But,
I love it.
No, Lawton is the military town. Lawton and Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma City.
Right,
Dale City.
Lawton. Okay.
Yeah. So, in which my uncle managed a Walmart in Lawton. My whole entire family was Walmart. I do it as a joke, but it's true. My entire family, except for me, at one time worked for Walmart, except for me. And the greatest Christmas we ever had in my life, I swear to God, was when mom and dad were actually getting along. It was incredible. And my brother and at that time, his wife, all the kids, we all got together and they told Walmart stories. And my mom and my dad told a story how he stopped the dude from shoplifting. Like he followed the dude all the way around my dad hated to be mean to people. He really, my dad's a big dude and he stood up when it was time to stand up, but he had a compassion for people who weren't like him, like who were like, the street dudes who I would just like, oh man, here comes trouble. My dad would have compassion for him. So he'll go, Henry, that guy stole something. My dad goes, come on, brother, give it up. And he walked all around. My dad was in great shape. He walked there, he go, come on, brother, give it. So he walked up to the way the Walmart was stationed. It was like kind of like this. And so there was a big incline. And the dude, come on, brother, give it up. The dude walked all the way up. My dad walked with him. He go, come on, brother, give it up. He go, come on, brother. I don't want to call a cop. Come on, brother. And my dad said the dude climbed up the top of the hill and he goes, turned around and gave my dad the bag and he jumped over the fence and left. And then
that's a beautiful story. And
then I swear to God, my dad said, again, this guy walks out. He goes, Henry, that guy just stole the TV. My dad said, man, this dude was like 6'4", cornrows, about 240. My dad goes, That ain't my job.
Exactly.
My dad said that ain't my job. I go, man, how my dad shook.
Yep.
That dude was he looked like he meant business. But it's the truth, man. I'm the only one that didn't work for Walmart, man.
Why? Like, did your family? They came from there too, or what was
everybody was Oklahoma, and that's why I always wanted to leave. I was just I always like this business is.
What percentage of African American was not used that term then growing up in Muskogee, Oklahoma?
Muskogee.
Sorry.
Muskogee.
Hey, if I'm going to screw up, I'll screw up on the name.
Muskogee?
Yeah, Muskogee. What percentage? Like, were you always like one of the only...
No. Muskogee, Tulsa. There's actually
Tulsa, yeah.
Muskogee, Tulsa, Oklahoma City. There's an all-black town called Boley.
Right.
They're the rodeo. There's an all-black town called Taft, Oklahoma, which Red Fox would stay in. Red Fox was the mayor of Taft, Oklahoma. He would stay 3 blocks away from me at these black people's house. Now, they had money. They had like a gated, like a big, and the big gates would open up. He stayed with them when he was there, and people had snapshots of Red Fox staying with them. He was the honorary mayor of Taft, Oklahoma. And there's like Ida Bell. They had a big race right there at one time. And we didn't integrate till like 72.
Yeah,
so there was problems. Matter of fact, my uncle got kicked out of school because somebody said the word to him and he beat him over the head with that. When he had a steel pick, when the picks were steel. Yeah. And he got in trouble for that and he laughed at that.
When's the last time you used a pick?
Man, okay, let's go before, this started getting shade right when I graduated OU, so that was 90. Yeah. So about 88, I guess I would say.
Michael Jordan has to be like, you're not a huge NBA guy, right?
No, not even.
But for him to make that look seem so great at the time that it happened to you, because you see brothers in the 70s that have got like big hair and then no hair here, like on the Jeffersons, like the initial guy in the Jeffersons, not Sherman Hemsworth, but the guy that was like on All in the Family, because it was a different George Jefferson.
Yes.
Everybody else was the same, but he was a different George Jefferson, and he was like a character actor. You'd see him in different stuff. He was good, but I mean, you didn't have the cock and the walk that George Jefferson had.
He killed
but
it.
That hair,
Sherman Hemsley killed it.
You'd see guys, and you're like, that doesn't work for anybody. But Michael Jordan, all of a sudden, that was like, he's like the sexiest man in the world.
He matter of fact, think about Jordan's contribution to just the money he poured into society from. Remember, he started with the baggy clothes, with the baggy, right? That the bald head, everything, the Nike. Because I mean, before that, it was all Adidas. Right. I mean, if you watched Air, it was all Adidas. He changed everything so much. I mean, he's one of just innovators in just a gross natural product. What Michael Jordan did. So what he did was incredible. But yeah, I had the little landing strip though, and I would do a little brush and get the little waves in, whatever. Nice. I never had the do rag. I never wanted to get arrested, so I didn't have the do rag. But I was like, I had that look, and then finally I think I said, you know what, it's going all the way off. And I did. I just remember like just massacring my head with Bics, because Bics were the worst, but they were also cheap.
There wasn't a lot of razor options either.
Yeah, because you didn't know. It was this.
Yeah,
it was this.
True.
And all of a sudden Michael Jordan came in, I'm gonna be like Mike. And so then you were like, until you perfected it.
You never saw that in the commercial, right? Maybe he couldn't. Maybe that's why he grew that Hitler mustache in that one ad that he did. How come
no one called him out on that? And that Hanes commercial? No one called him out on the Hitler. Like, what are you doing, Mike? What are you doing?
It was so weird.
I know you're whiter than white because you're from Iowa, but do you remember the hot comb?
Here's the weird deal about me. I'm weird in a way like you, whereas you probably were going to the local record shop and getting a Scorpions album or something.
You know me, bro.
Right.
Live at First Thing.
I went to the place in Des Moines. It was about 30 minutes from Newton, and the music shop.
Newton, Iowa. Man, I remember that. Close to Grinnell.
It's 20 miles. Close to Grinnell. It's where Maytag washers and dryers. That's my Walmart.
With the Perkins
both my grandpas
right off the street
and my
off
dad.
The highway.
They all worked for Maytag.
Wow.
And that's where all the washers and dryers and dishwashers were made. It was a total company town. Whirlpool bottom, took the jobs to Mexico.
Yeah, wiped the town out.
Right, but it didn't happen while I lived there.
Yeah.
It was when I was in college. So I go to the record shop, and it's probably 82, 83, and I get my Judas Priest album.
Yeah, which one?
this one was Screaming for Vengeance because it
Oh
just had come
my
out.
God, that was so good.
83.
Scream!
Yeah.
Scream for vengeance!
But I also got Grandmaster Flash.
My man.
Okay, and that was the first rap album.
Cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes.
Yeah.
Make me wonder how I keep him going under.
And the college dude who was a stoner that was at the record shop, that's who everyone was at, like, he's like, hey, little bro, you got some eclectic music taste. And I'm like, because I did, like, how old's our producer? We have any clue?
Nikolai, how old are you, Nikolai? 23.
Okay,
go to bed. Just go to bed right now. Go take a nap. Go take your afternoon nap.
It's so awesome, and I love it. Your whole life, you can just go, I want to, somebody tells me to check out a song. I just go to Apple Music or I go to Spotify and everything's available. And that wasn't the case.
You had to go down and find it.
You had to go find it. And then on top of it, the only way poor people could get any music, you would get a record club. You would join a record club. Columbia or RCA. RCA was a...
RCA,
yeah,
wow.
You didn't have to buy as many for RCA. Columbia, it was cheaper. You'd get more, but then it was a racket. So the first ones I ever got, my first 6 or whatever, included Parliament.
Oh my God.
Right. And I mean, this little honky kid from Newton, Iowa, 9 years old. And that wasn't even before Flashlight, because this was the live album, and there was all the dudes were in diapers and stuff like that. They were so much more the Chili Peppers before the Chili Peppers. And then I also got Three Dog Night, which you would expect.
Three Dog Night was great.
Yeah. So I was this weird kid. The great moment of my kind of full circle, about 6 years ago, I get a call. They're like, we need an opener for a rock band in Chicago. And I was on vacation in Wisconsin. I'm like, I'll come down for it. It was Three Dog Night. And that was the first album. First song I ever loved was Joy to the World, because there was Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Yes. I'm like 6 years old. My dad's painting houses at the time because they were on strike. And it just brought me back to warm bologna sandwiches with mayonnaise.
That's what music does, man.
That brings you back. Yes. And so I told that story on stage and how this was so cool to me, even though only one member's left of Joy, Three Dog Night, and killed it. And it was so good of an experience. Those are the moments you got to hold on to when you don't have insurance, you don't have a pension, you don't have a sick days, none of that stuff. You have to know, okay, as long as you hustled hard enough to get the work. You know what, man? We're just gonna do that. We're gonna do the last 5 minutes. Let's do it now. I'm gonna reveal. Okay. Tell them my idea was. What we're gonna do is he said when he messaged me, okay, listen, last 5 minutes, I want you to wear your T-shirt of a band, and I'm gonna wear a T-shirt of my band, and we're gonna talk about it in the last 5 minutes. And I'm gonna say the hell with the last 5 minutes. We're gonna do it now since we're already on mute. So I'm gonna reveal my band. You reveal your band. Hold on. Okay. All right. Oh, yes. Remember them? Is that electric? Hell yeah, bro. That's dude, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. Okay. Let me hear you first on this. And this is obviously yours is great too, don't get me wrong. And it is, I'm not really shitting on them, and I said this to somebody the other day. This is a hard rock band. It's a great band, and the only thing I didn't like, I still like me wrong, but when they found that sound, it kind of ruined them. Oh no! I like their second and third album, High and Dry, Saturday Night, and Pyromania. Saturday Night, man. Billy's got a gun. Are you out of your fucking mind? Billy's got a gun. He's on the run. Got danger in his heart. Hysteria. That's the girl album. When you need, man, that's when they got girls. Dude, that was their Bon Jovi album. But let me tell you something, man. To me, Billy, just the way the vocals, the way with the Mutt Lange, right? The way he mixed that, blind leads the blind. Yeah, Billy's got a gun. It's gonna shoot you down, man. High and Dry sounds like an AC/DC album, like the drums and the beat, and it made them that it's harder than the ones that happened afterwards. Mutt Lange still had that sheen that he put on Back in Black and things like that.
Oh,
that's the Back in Black album 10 years later.
What, the
Electric.
Let me tell you something, man. I remember
Rick Rubin.
And we talk about music taking you back. I remember I got this the day it was in the summertime, and I just needed a job. And one good thing about me, I'll say this, is my dad had never worried about me trying to get a job in the summer because I always wanted to work, get money.
Me too.
And I remember going down to Sound Warehouse and getting Electric. And the first 3 songs just kicked you in the ass. Remember, we're living in a one-horse shack.
Yeah.
Man.
Love removal machine.
Baby, 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 I fell from the sky. Man, oh my God.
Oh, little devil. All that album, it's a little bit like how Hysteria was a bigger album, but anybody that likes Def Leppard knows it's High and Dry, or Pyromania, that's like a rock fan.
Yes.
The next album that had Firewoman and all that, really good.
Oh my God.
But that one, to me, is perfect.
Electric just fucking kicked you in the ass.
Perfect.
Good old fashioned rock and roll. It's like, you know what? It's like that fighter who never got the credit he deserved, but he's just good at the basics and he just whoops your. He's like Rocky Marciano. And he just bam, bam, just sticking that jab in your face. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm done.
Well, and Rick Rubin loved AC/DC.
Yeah.
And so his idea was, let's tighten up your She Sells Sanctuary kind of gothy songs that were good. But he made him a totally different band. I don't think a lot of their fans joined on to that, though, because the goth people who loved She Sells Sanctuary and a couple of the others that were hits that were on college radio. Right. That wasn't college radio.
Yeah.
That was rock. And it was right before grunge.
Yeah. You know what? You call it goth. I thought it was more psychedelic.
Well, it was.
I thought it was more, cause when he was like, he was all hippie wise, and I just remember, even to this day, I just remember. I think it was that stretch of highway. I think it was I-80 coming out of Iowa, and I'm just tired.
Yeah,
and I just remember
we've driven that way too many times.
And I just remember hearing "She Sells Sanctuary," and I just got a oh my God,
yeah,
that you know that. She Sells Sanctuary is the greatest road song ever. That will get you a ticket guaranteed. That's at least 90 and a 55.
Here's my one that will always, if you should be able to show this to the police and they would let you out. Like in the 70s, it would be Radar Love.
Okay.
I've been driving along, my hands went on the wheel. Okay, that's 70s. Or maybe Space Truckin' by Deep Purple.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Those two, they're trucking.
Yeah.
There's trucking in them, but not trucking Grateful Dead. That puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm not a Grateful Dead fan.
Me neither.
Okay. 80s. Well, it's probably even early 90s. The Ministry song. What's the one? No. Jesus just. My Hot Rod.
Oh, I know. I wasn't that big of a Ministry fan, but I know what you're talking about.
Well, that was another band that like switched, and they picked up a guitar player from a metal band, and they became like Ministry kind of set the way for Nine Inch Nails.
I could see that.
But that song, you play it, and it's like. It's like speed metal, but I'm not a speed metal guy. Yeah,
and it's funny you said it because I think that's where Metallica lost some fans or made them fans mad when I always say Metallica finds a little rhythm. When they did, a Sad But True, the one with Sad But True, and they found a little rhythm and they were like, what's this shit? You know what I mean? And
that's what makes me not a true Metallica fan, because if I tell you my 10 favorite Metallica songs.
Name them right now. Since you're saying that shit.
Okay, let's do 5 because we don't want to do.
Well, you said
10.
Did you not say 10, Nikolai?
I did say 10. I could come up.
Well, he's not confident when he said 10. Yeah. He said 10 like he knows, didn't he?
But all my 10.
Now it's down to 5.
Oh, but 5 or 10.
Okay,
they're
5.
all past.
Give me 5.
Well,
give me Fuel. Give me
early
5.
ones. Well, truthfully, that's in my top 2 is Fuel.
Okay.
I do love And Justice for All, which that was the first one. One was the first one where they had kind of like light music, and then the video where it's from a movie.
I know, man.
Kid.
I still can't even think about that. I put myself in there. It's just no.
It's the worst.
I don't want to go there. Yeah,
right.
It makes me go. Yeah,
that's such a powerful video.
Yes.
But everything else I like best is after. Like I'm not in a search and destroy, and I'm not as heavy. I like have I heard Sandman too much? Maybe, but I still love it.
To me, it's overplayed. It's kind of like,
is overplayed.
It's kind of like She Shook Me All Night Long.
It's not my favorite because of that. You know, there's like 8 other songs on there that they haven't played as much.
Sink the Pink.
Rock and roll is a noise pollution.
Rock and roll ain't noise pollution, man. That funky ass.
It's that slow.
Yeah. So get off your ass and come down here, because rock and roll ain't no rhythm, man. To me, it makes good sense. Good sense.
Probably our podcast that we do together should be this.
Bro, let me tell you something, man. You get me talking about rock and roll, especially back in those days. Because you know, maybe I was mad when I would look at the Rolling Stones top albums.
Yeah.
Black and Black was never there. And I go, and it kicks everyone's ass. There's not too many albums that can mess with Back in Black. Back in Black was almost the ultimate rock and roll album. Name me an album, rock and roll album, that's better than Back in Black.
No, you can't.
Screaming for Vengeance was great. Scream for Vengeance.
Yeah. No, I was at that concert, and it's the only time that I actually felt the devil in the room. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. Rob Halford's, when he comes out in the first encore and Hell Bent for Leather, and he's pulling his motorcycle out, and this is 1983, nobody knew he was gay.
Yeah.
And sadly, the majority that liked him the most did not like people that were gay. Yeah. So he was smart. He knew. I mean,
you gotta know your audience.
It was sad that would be the case, but that was the time. You got to know.
It was the times.
You cannot change the zeitgeist of 1983.
Yes, you can't.
That's why I say we're way better. Let's celebrate some of the way better.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean we're done, but let's celebrate it and not go, we've gone nowhere in the last 30 years. Yes. Are you kidding? You need to get in the time machine. Okay, so my son goes to weightlifting at school, and we were talking about this yesterday. This will make your heart feel good. He was talking about like some rapper that they play in the weight room, and I can't remember who he had said.
Little something.
No, it wasn't Little. It wasn't Little Baby or any of those.
Something. It's always a little something.
Kind of, no. And so he's like, that, but I think AC/DC, we still play, that's still the best to lift to. And I'm like, hell yes it is. Greatest lifting music ever created.
AC/DC, Ozzy.
Ozzy's really good, but it's not, I don't think it's always lifting music.
I give you.
I mean, no, I'm not going to be able to not lift listening to it, but Back in Black is. It's just the same, and you could keep your rhythm to it.
Ball Breaker. When I was cycling yesterday and Ball Breaker come on, dun dun dun. Now here I go. I act like I was on the chase in the Tour de France. Dun dun. Yeah, all right. And I was like, I was doing this, man. I put my ear. And I was doing that. Hey, man, I'm telling you, and you cannot beat I mean, there's groups out there who have a nice little. They can go with him for a while, and then it's over. It's almost like boxing, man. It's like, I can go with you for like 3 or 4 rounds, and then that championship rounds come and it's over. That's what other groups are like. Like Led Zeppelin has like in the evening that little that little nice little warm up in the evening. Okay, a whole lot of love. When that kicks in, hey,
blows your mind.
That very beginning, you're like, I'm gonna beat somebody's ass. All right, that's great, but
it fills you with fills you with masculinity.
But if you want to go an hour and a half of just straight ass kicking, you can't beat AC/DC for a workout.
And my son did say that they play Van Halen in there too.
Let me tell you something. Van Halen, I'm gonna go on record right now, say Van Halen is the best American band we've ever had. Van Halen, as far as rock and roll, in that era.
Since I didn't give you the 5, we'll do the Mount Rushmore of American bands.
That's going to be good. Okay, go ahead.
Because England, it's easy. You get all the Beatles and the Stones and the Who and the Led Zeppelin, and you could go on all day.
They cheat because they're good. Yeah.
Right.
But they stole it from us, though. But they stole it from our black blues musicians.
Yes.
So
very much so.
Yeah.
Though I will say, I don't think you listen to Robert Johnson as much as you listen to Led Zeppelin.
Robert Johnson is fucking great. You better watch your mouth there, Scott.
You're not lifting weights to Robert Johnson.
But I feel the devil sometimes.
At the crossroads.
Hey,
I mean,
He's doing because he's got his back to you because the devil's playing it. What a great story that is.
Oh, it's amazing.
Isn't it? I mean, do you know that story, Nikolai? This guy supposedly sold his soul to the devil, right?
In the middle of Mississippi.
Supposedly he wasn't very good musician.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he just becomes incredible. But no one's seen him play but turn his back to the audience and play. And I guess the devil was playing the... Yeah, I mean, and he died mysterious. Well, his woman poisoned him, and that's why you never leave a glass and go somewhere and come back and drink from that glass because somebody could poison. That's why you never do that.
Right.
All because of Robert Johnson.
Right.
Yeah. So now you know, Nikolai. Now you know. Okay. Now go to bed.
That's good, man. I love that.
So give me your American band Mount Rushmore. Come on, cheat off for you.
Okay.
I'm glad you said
Van Halen.
Definitely.
Okay. I'm probably going Aerosmith.
I knew that was coming. I
would put Van Halen a little above them, but then I would go because I like alternative rock too. I think REM is incredibly important, and so I would put REM in there. We're talking bands now. If you're talking,
no. Go ahead. No, go ahead. You're right.
I might put after that. I might put Earth, Wind, and Fire. Those might be my 4.
I thought it was rock and roll. You're talking
about rock. Well,
yeah, rock and roll.
Well, you know, we're the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You put a, okay, so maybe Metallica now.
I have a problem with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Listen. I know what they're trying to do. What makes me so mad.
Yeah.
You leave out Iron Maiden, but you induct Jay-Z before Iron Maiden. Are you out of your head? Iron Maiden, bro. I mean, the original. Okay, turn the light on. Fuck this. I don't, whoa.
You're probably going to get in a fight with me.
And see.
I like 3 albums of Iron Maiden.
Beast with wrath because he knows the time is short. Let him without understanding reckon the number of the beast, for the number is a human number.
I love Number of the Beast. My favorite is what's the one with Flight of the Icarus?
No, I heard you say,
but I only like 3.
You only like 3. 3 what, albums or 3 songs?
3 albums. I only like that 3.
But they still deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame over Jay-Z? Come on, man.
I don't like Jay-Z, I have to admit.
But he shouldn't be before Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden is metal, bro. That's rock and roll. I mean, don't get me wrong. The attitude of rap, yes, it's rock and roll. The attitude is.
Right.
But after that, are you out of your mind? Iron Maiden is out, but Jay-Z's in? That makes me just want to Iron Maiden is fucking rock and roll, bro.
Well, the bands
Acacia
to me
Avenue?
that had to wait as long as they did, like Judas Priest and stuff. Because I think Judas Priest is, that's one of the top 3 or 4 metal bands ever. Oh, and I prefer personally, I brought them up earlier, the Scorpions, who they have 30 songs that are amazing. All the way back, there's a song in the 70s, this Udo, what is it?
Udo Bergsheimer? No.
The guy that was the first guitar player for him. He's amazing guitar player. And there's a song, Seas of Charin or something like that. And the sound on that is just wicked. The rest of the band hadn't figured themselves out, including the lead singer at that point, Klaus. Klaus
Meine.
Right, but then they get Love Drive and they start doing the Zoo and everything. And after that
Animal
run
Magnetism.
for about 10 years.
They had 2 greatest hits out before they came over here.
Right.
Speedy, you remember Speedy's Coming?
Yeah.
Speedy's Coming. The Rock and Roller?
Yeah, Rock and
Catch That Train?
Right.
Catch That Train?
See, they're not in.
Dude, Live at First Sting?
Yeah.
When they, on the album that dun 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 dun, and on the live album dun 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 dun. You know what? I feel like just stopping and shut at Nikolai right now for no reason because he doesn't know.
You're mad because he's young.
No, because he don't know how good this shit is. What do you listen to, Nikolai?
I listen to Van Halen, a lot more 90s stuff though, like Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins.
He's good.
Okay, man. I'm sorry.
He's a
I'm
kid,
sorry,
man.
Nikolai.
I like him.
I'm sorry, Nikolai.
I like him.
By the way, if you don't know Nikolai, he works the boards. He's a Russian. I'm sure he's, but he's a good kid.
Well, he probably loves Scorpions because they were one of the first ones that came over to Russia.
Yes, but you know what? That's when they jumped the shark, though.
And Billy Joel.
They jumped the shark. Russia.
Yeah, they did jump the shark because they did that.
Gorky Park.
Yeah.
There's Winds of Change. Oh
Winds of
my
Change.
God, that was horrible. Other than that, you take away Winds of Change. I will put the Scorpions and the Cult versus any rock and roll band you have for at least an album, maybe 2. In their prime. The Cult and the Scorpions could mess with anybody.
Yeah.
anybody's greatest album. You give me Metallica's greatest. I'll give you the Cult's greatest. You give me
I'm with you.
The Judas Priest greatest. I'll put you motherfucking the Cult and Scorpions great and go. Now what you want to do? When they had the Monsters of Rock, when it was the Scorpions, Van Halen. I don't think Metallica was on there. It was another '80s group. Man, let me take. Oh my God, dude, the Scorpions are so underrated.
So
Underrated.
Yeah,
Matthias Jobs on the sixth string, the Axeman.
Yeah.
I just feel like slapping somebody right now.
You don't have to, hey, I'm on your side.
That's how much
Let's
I love
keep
rock
that in mind.
That's how much I love rock and roll.
Look, I wore this because this is a cooler T-shirt.
Yes,
I mean,
I like it though.
It's very cool.
It's like He-Man. Looks like He-Man.
Yeah,
rock
it's
and
like
roll.
a cartoon.
It's like He-Man. It's like if He-Man was a rock and roller.
Right.
Yeah.
But like if I saw us both walking down the street, I'd be like, oh, that dude, the guy wearing the Colt Electric, that's the dude that really knows music. I would think over me. Because there's plenty of people that can walk around walking with a Def Leppard.
But that kind of Def Leppard is different though. That Def Leppard is different.
It's cool.
If you had the one Hysteria, go, that's just a everyday.
You got
thing.
it at Target.
But if you get that,
can't get that at Target.
Yeah, if you get that, like, what's this?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know.
All right.
You don't remember. You don't remember this. You don't even remember Sonic Tempo with. I think the greatest song the Cult ever did was American Horse.
Oh, that's
the
a great
day
song.
they tried to tame the American Horse. Man.
So I'm at the Cleveland Improv, and the Flats.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And they would have music like right next to it in the summer because it was in the Flats.
Yes.
And I'm there. I'm featuring, and I'm like, one of the guys is like, yeah, they got a concert here. That's why it's hard to get parking. I'm like, well, who's the concert? It's like The Doors, but Ian Astbury, he didn't say Ian Astbury. He goes like, I think the guy from the Colts, the lead singer of The Doors, they had gone out on tour and he sang for them. And I'm like, oh, I got to see this. So I did, and I'm watching it, and he's great. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, the Colt's better than The Doors. I wish he would break in about all of his songs because I like 5 Doors songs a lot.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's probably the most overrated American band.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, I mean, because they have this folk, the Doors, and it's like, you go, okay.
Like Roadhouse Blues, that's a ripper.
I woke up this morning and I got myself a beer. In the video, and he's just like, like this. I mean, how great is that?
That and there's a handful more, but that LA Woman and all that stuff, it's not good.
But there's nothing better than when it's raining and you put Riders on the Storm on.
I can't go there. It seems a little, it's Riders on the Storm. And I recognize his influence on people. I do. I don't like an organ. The guy, Ray Manzarek, he sounds like the guy in the mall. Every store in the mall in the 70s and 80s, they'd have an organ shop. Like it was, you have no idea, brother. Our 23-year-old Nikolai, I don't think they had it in Russia at the mall there.
We did have
but there would be like
a
mall store and these little organs, and they must have been expensive because they had their own store. In every mall, like Newton, Iowa, 12,000 people had an organ store. And now you'd go like, oh, you can buy an organ? Like a kidney or a lung? No, it's like an organ, like the church guy, the person at the church playing. I don't like it. Like the guy from Deep Purple, he made it sound good.
Yes. Oh my, yes. Yeah. Yes.
But that Ray Manzarek, he was too, I don't dig what he does. And
Perfect Strangers, the guy.
Right.
That's my favorite song from Deep Purple. That organ kicks ass on that song.
Right. Then it blended with Richie Blackmore, and it all worked.
Richie, who hated Eddie Van Halen.
He hates everybody.
Yeah.
He's one of those dudes like Chuck Berry that like he thinks he's the greatest, and I hate everybody. Yeah. Like it's kind of crazy. Isn't it kind of crazy? But he knows singers because let's go over the singers he had. Okay, there was a guy before Ian Gillan who sang "Smoke in the Water" and everything. He was the Rod something. He sang "Hush, Hush, Hush."
Thought I heard her call my name now. Hush, Hush.
That was a different guy.
Okay.
Then it was Ian Gillan that did all their big hits, Woman from Tokyo, all those trucking. Then Blackmore can't get along with him. he brings in new singers. Who does he bring in? David Coverdale. Stormbringer coming, Stormbringer coming. And then he had another guy that was singing who, I can't think of his name. He's a bass player. There were two guys. They sang Burn together. Burn.
But wasn't Richie in
Then he went to Rainbow.
That's it, Ronnie James Dio.
Ronnie James Dio, that's as good as a metal voice sounds.
You can't beat Ronnie. What was he like 410?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah,
But
he's
he-
from Connecticut
but
and
he
he's hanging out
rocked.
with all these British dudes that are the guitar heroes. That's how good. He's 4'10". He's from Connecticut. He sounds like he's from Brooklyn. And then he just breaks out this voice that's unreal. So, but Dio can't handle him. So then who's he get next? He gets that dude that does Since You've Been Gone, Since You've Been Gone.
Yeah, I didn't really like that song.
Yeah, but he had another one too. Graham Bonnet. That was his name.
It was all him. He was like one of those. He was like Elizabeth Taylor. She's been married 6 times. Like, you know what? I think it's you.
So, totally. Then he gets Joe Lynn Turner.
I totally forgot about that.
Power and the Stone Cold, and which was more like a foreigner.
Cold.
They went through their foreigner stretch.
Oh my God, Foreigner! I almost forgot about Foreigner.
Right.
17, dirty white boy.
I'm taking my kids to a foreigner.
Yeah.
It's the last tour. I know there's nobody left from the band. But it's like $25.
You got to.
Loverboy's opening it up.
Lover. Oh my. Hey.
That was my jam.
Here's
in
how
high
country
school.
boy I am. My prom theme.
Did you wear red leather pants? I always threaten my kids I'm going to wear red leather pants and a bandana and walk around on Halloween.
It was loving every minute of it. And
Loving every minute
that was
of
the
it.
name of, that was the name of our prom. Man, God, we're up against it. God damn it.
I wrecked it by we went through this too early.
Who gives a shit? We had to, bro.
This is one of the greatest podcasts ever. I don't know.
God damn, that was
Eddie Trunk probably is going to put this on and listen to it for the rest of his life. He's like,
Dude.
these are two guys who know.
I mean, just fucking music. When you said Scorpions, man, I don't know why. I just feel no one gave the Scorpions and the Cult enough credit, and that's what makes me mad. But I do feel like they're mine. Like they're mine. Like
They are.
Remember White off a Ceremony.
Yeah.
And do you remember Coming Down? It was on. Remember
Coming down. Then they were trying to kind of get a U2 vibe to it.
Dirty hippie girl.
But it was great.
Your soft hips make me swell. I'm surprised.
And then Duffy's
all
the
you
guitar
lie.
player. I mean, he's like Slash.
Real quick, I got a Cult story. When they hired that new drummer, the one with the I forget his name, the big guy, the drummer, right? And when he got, he go, listen, whatever you do, don't open the door for Ian it's past 2:00 in the morning. Whatever you do, okay. And I'd be damned. Ian knocks on the door like 2:00 in the morning. And he opens it up, and Ian like trashes the hotel room.
Yeah.
He goes, whatever you do, don't open the door. And Ian comes in drunk, and that's what he does.
Wasn't their drummer? Didn't he leave to go with Guns N' Roses?
Guns N' Roses.
Matt
yes.
Sorum.
Yeah, that's it. Matt Storm. Yeah.
That's a band.
Okay.
Okay, someday we're going to actually get to comedy.
No, here it is.
Yeah.
Okay, you gave me your top 5 bands, right? It was Van Halen,
No, it's American.
Van Halen, Aerosmith, REM. Give me 2 more.
I said Metallica.
Okay, Metallica.
These
who
are
else? And
American.
Who else?
You come up with your 5 and I'll think of
No.
my fifth.
Oh, okay. Although you are the guest, but okay, I'll come up with mine. I'll say Van Halen, and I will say Kiss because of their influence. Kiss because even though New York Dolls deserve a little that credit, I'll still say Kiss.
Kiss did way better.
Kiss took everything to a whole nother level.
I'm not a music critic.
Yeah, good.
I don't listen to New York Dolls and go, oh yeah, they're as good as Kiss. No, they're not.
First of all, critics can kiss my ass because you know what? It's what you like. And no one should ever apologize for what they like.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm sorry, but I like. Don't apologize. Is that what you like? That's what you like. So yeah, I'll take those 2.
Yeah.
After that, man, it's a who. As far as American bands, Van Halen, Kiss.
Yeah, it gets
American,
hard.
American. I'm saying if I had to go American, we're an American man. Man, you know what?
See,
Now, if it's not hard rock, I'm gonna say Bruce Springsteen.
but is that a band? Because then, yes, he is there 100% for me.
Bruce Springsteen. And if I get Bruce Springsteen and Bob Seger together, man, I'm done for the day, bro. Bob Seger and Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, but as a Silver Bullet band, it's not that. It's Bob Seger. I know Springsteen's like they put him in, and then they also put in the band, which I always think is bullshit. It's like,
True.
like Stevie Nicks got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on her own. What, for 4 fucking songs? Where's Pat Benatar? She's got 20.
You know, because she's a heartbreaker, a green maker, love taker, don't you mess around. Because hell is for children. Pat Benatar for about a, 5-year?
Oh, her voice is unbelievable. Better than Heart's.
Heart was great. I don't know why I don't put them in. But I can only come with 2 as far as American bands.
See, there you go. You can't put Metallica in? I mean, they have had a lot of albums.
Metallica. Oh, yeah,
I mean,
Metallica.
just from career
Metallica.
level of,
Van Halen, Kiss, Metallica.
I mean, could I put in Green Day? Maybe at this point. I probably could.
You know what? You might have to go Pearl Jam. Even though I love Soundgarden, of all the Seattle bands, I put Pearl Jam at the bottom, but their longevity.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's why I would say Green Day has had longevity. My favorite band now is the Killers. And the Killers still are pumping out music. And I took my daughter for her birthday. We went to Columbus, Ohio, where Ohio State plays basketball, and took her to the Killers because that's an old dad, keeps them away from 100% hip hop. Yeah, I want them to, listen to their music too.
I got no problem with
that. But you gotta understand other music. Like I grew up listening to 50s and 60s music when I was in the 70s.
I felt like we're more well-rounded than this generation.
On music.
We had a harder time. We had to actually go seek it.
Yeah.
I mean, Nat King Cole. I mean,
right.
How hard is to find Nat King Cole? Right. I mean, back in the day, I was getting old blues, that old Sonny Boy Williams. I done got too old to think. Right. You're gonna have to look after me. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's about to die. I mean, seriously, but I love that because I knew that was not faked. No. I mean, when he sang that like that, one of the greatest songs ever by Sonny Boy Williams. It's almost like you could.
Is it Williamson?
Sonny Boy Williamson, yeah. Okay. And you hear you hear the sound dude going, "Go man, go!" He goes, you let it cut it now. You let it cool, goddamn it. It won't be worth a damn. And he goes, "Go." And that's when he goes, I done got too old to think. You gonna have to look after me. And I'm like, oh my God, this dude's about to die. I mean, if you hear that, it sends shivers up your spine, dude. Because that's music. That's blues right there.
Oh,
I mean, you feel. I mean, and then in the Howlin' Wolf, right. On the killing floor, when he goes up, he goes, knock on the front door, then run around to the back. You can catch him while he's coming out.
Right.
Man, that's evil after me. Man, that's
it's
music,
sad
bro.
that all the stories of those guys, like there's nobody ever did sat down and did the real stories of them.
I wonder where the audience is for that because I mean,
yeah,
I love it, but it's getting to the point now. It's like, where's that audience now? I mean, because once Buddy Guy goes,
right,
it's pretty much over.
Yeah, because there's no Bo Diddleys, there's none of those guys left, and you have to think of. Well, when I think of it, like classic rock holds on. Like my kids know classic rock better than they know grunge.
Dude, name me an American band. Name me a song from an American band in the last 10 years that has held through the years. So just the last 10 that you go, bam. It's not in a commercial. Nothing has lasted like a commercial. I mean, even AC/DC sold out and gave him a song for a commercial.
Well, that's one of those things where the Killers have songs that they play at music. Like they play Somebody Told Me, which is kind of like U2 and Duran Duran together or whatever. And they play it like they play it like they'll play Seven Nation Army. Those are the two songs that get played at sports concerts.
Yes.
And those hold those songs. That becomes classic rock. You can put those on.
Man, damn it. I got to get out of here. I mean, I have to. I mean, I have another podcast in 15, but damn it. I could talk to you about this all day long.
Finally.
Bro, yes.
I know, man. Everyone knows we have never sat down and done this ever. And it shows. We know all the same comedians.
And it shows. I mean...
We're
were talking about comedy. We're talking about comedy. I thought we were just two dudes together talking about rock and roll. That's what it feels like. I feel like I'm in a cafe, having my own little drink. And you go, oh man, Devin, I saw them. You saw them. And next thing we start talking about rock and roll. Like,
you at the Billy Squier concert where they opened and everybody left when Billy Squire would come up because Pyromania hit, and poor Billy Squire's like, "Hey, I'm the stroke guy.
Hey,
I worked my
everybody
whole
wants
life
you." Yeah.
for this." And then he's like, "I'm kicking him off the tour," and then they stopped doing the tour 3 weeks later because they couldn't sell enough tickets. But there's like your ego was like, it'd be like you're touring, and then Bert Kreischer hits. And you're Jay Moore because Bert used to open for Jay, and all of a sudden, but that didn't happen. But it'd be like if that happened, you're like, everybody's showing up for him, and then they're leaving before the headliner set.
Yeah.
That's what happens in
Yeah,
music.
man. And that's what I feel like we just did. God damn it. Scott, hey, anything you want to plug?
ScottComedy.com. I don't talk about music during my shows too much. A little bit, maybe.
I think now you should, bro.
Well, we got to think about this whole thing. I'm telling you.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you something, man. Well, I'm pumped now, bro.
Revved.
I really am.
Yeah.
I really
the
am.
kind of music we talk about, it's not like we're, talking about Cat Stevens. You don't get as revved up for James Taylor as you do Corey Taylor.
Because I always thought I'd see you again.
I like that music. Don't get me wrong.
I know, but it didn't pump you. It didn't pump you
doesn't
up.
get you pumped.
Yeah, it's like
Corey Taylor's from Des Moines, just like me.
Look at you.
Slipknot guy.
Dropping names. All right, folks. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tales from a Gemini. Scott Long, my buddy. Check him out. Honestly, just your longevity in comedy, what you know about comedy, your comedy acumen.
I have that.
I mean about your comedy acumen, man. It's a pleasure having you on here, bro.
Man.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching Tales from a Gemini. And like we say about this time, you know the word. Peace.